Hi everyone, it's Janet Wakeland with RemarkablyCreated.com. In today's One Take Wonder video, we are going to talk about coloring. We are going to talk about options that you have for getting color on your stamps and bringing your images to life, and there are a lot of options. Even here, when you look at our beautiful new peacock stamp, you can see just the variations with one stamp that coloring provides. So we're going to look at those options. We are not going to go into great detail. We could do a video on every single technique. I just want to give you a broad spectrum overview of the coloring options that you have so that when you're looking at them in our 2014 Stampin' Up! Catalog, they may make a little bit more sense to you or come to life for you. So when you're in the catalog, Stampin' Up! Has 4 major color collections. We have our brights, our subtles, our regals, and our neutrals. And in addition, Stampin' Up! Has 2 overlapping in-color collections. And the in-color collections are available for 2 years at a time. So we currently have our 2013 to 15 collection, and we just introduced our new 2014 collection, which will go through 2016. So they overlap, and there are 5 colors designed to fill maybe some gaps within our primary 48 colors to keep us on trend with what's happening in the home decor world, in just the design world and things like that. So we have 4 major color collections. Within the color collections, you're going to see me using some Stampin' Pads as well as some Coordinating Blendabilities markers and Stampin' Write markers. So there's some options within the color families. Another place to look in the catalog is there's a section aptly named Coloring. And within the coloring section is where you're going to find some of the product. I'm not going to feature them all. I won't feature like our sponging and spritzers and daubers and the vanilla smooch sprayers, things like that. Again, I'm just going to do a broad spectrum overview, mostly of ink pads and markers today. But there is a lot more in the catalog than just what I am showing you on page 210 and 211. So let's go ahead and let's jump in and just take a look at some of the basic options that are available to us for coloring stamped images. And we're going to start, and let's use our beautiful new Perfect Peacock, and we'll use Bermuda Bay. It's one of my favorite colors. Our classic ink is our standard ink pads. They are available in our in-color collections and our 48 colors. And they are refillable, and I do encourage you when you purchase a pad to also purchase the re-inker at the same time, because there's lots of really cool techniques for the re-inkers as well, so that you can do some coordinating things with the re-inkers or just some things on their own. And it's always nice to have a re-inker when you're crafting at 3 a.m. and that's when your pad decides to be a little dry. Notice that I'm inking this one upside down. It's a little bit larger stamp, but you can also take your stamp across the block like that if you wanted to. And we'll go ahead and we'll stamp it on our piece of paper. I always just like to rub my fingers across the image just to make sure I get all of it. And so there you can see that we've got our beautiful peacock. This I could leave just like that. It's a beautiful image just like that, but of course we want to talk about coloring today. So when you're working with the basics, here, some options that you have is we have this blender pen, and it's basically a moistened dual tip pen that's sold 3 in a package. And what I can do is I can just start to blend over the edges, just kind of softening them just a little bit. And I can just kind of start to pull some of that color and soften them with the blender pen. The other thing is you can take your classic pads and give them a little bit of a squeeze, and that transfers some ink up to the lid. And now you can take your blender pen and you can pick up some of that color and literally just watercolor with it. And we'll just keep going, get a little darker. And now you'll see that the tip's a little bit stained. You're going to grab just a scrap piece of paper and swish it, and it'll still look stained, but once it swishes clean, it's going to be clean and you're not going to carry that color on. So you've got your blender pen that can help you again blend some of our colors together and kind of soften the edges of that ink. You can also pick up ink from the lid like you saw here. One of my favorites to work with, we have these pens called Aqua Painters. They have chambers that you can fill with water. And what you can do is, because they have a moistened tip, is a little bit wetter, and so it can really help pull some of that color even more so. And just like we watercolored before, you can do the same thing with these. But it's going to definitely, whoop, that's pretty dark. So you're going to be able to watercolor with them. And you can go back in. And you've got two different kinds of tips. And that's how this card here was done. Was just Blackberry Bliss ink, tone on tone, and working with the aqua painters. And again, you've got those tips to color with that are part of your aqua painters. One of the other things that you can do, let me grab this piece of paper and we'll set that aside. Let me get my Bermuda Bay back out again for just a second. And let's just take still pretty wet, but we're just going to create a swish across. And actually, I wanted the swish to go the other way. I know, you're thinking, what difference does it make, right? So, got that little swish on there, like so. And we'll always can rinse these. Put the lid back on that. And we have ourselves a stamp here. Brand new one that's kind of cute. Let's take the paper off of it and grab ourselves a block. And the block's a little bit big because it's the one I brought for something else. But we're going to make it work. My new favorite go-to black pad is our Memento pad. This is designed to be used with the blendabilities, but it doesn't smudge or smear, and it's very quick drying once you stamp it on the paper. And so once it becomes available to the public later this summer, I guarantee that you are going to want one of these pads. But I also wanted to use that to talk about it. So here I've got the swish going on in the background. Got our great gal from our girls' night out. So it's going to make a fun, simple card. And again, it just shows you don't have to have a lot of color on your image. And it gives you a chance to see our black pad in use. One of the things about stamps as you're stamping them is that you do want to clean them. When you're first starting out, paper towels on a plate with a little bit of water that you can dab these across is great. When you're ready to invest in your crafting hobby a little bit more, our Stampin' Scrubs are great. They've got a little raised surface, little fingers in it, so it really does get down in the nooks, and you're going to spray a little bit on one side and then dry on the other side. And there is a little mark in the corner, one for wet and one for dry, so the little raindrops, the little sunshine. So wash and dry. And then you can pop these out. I simply just rinse them in the sink here in my craft room. So that works out great. So we'll just set that aside. Then another way that we have of coloring, and let me grab the image here from our Bravo stamp set. I love this big, huge congrats. It's just so much fun. So we've got this word, congrats. But now I want to put multiple colors right on this as opposed to coloring it in. This is a line image, and so I want to put multiple colors on it. One of the ways that you can do that is with our dual tip markers. They have two tips. You have a brush tip and you have a fine point, kind of ballpoint end. The brush tip is the one that you want to use when you're coloring on stamps. The fine tip is going to be a great one for when you want to journal, sign cards and things like that. The brush tip also will be great if you're wanting to add some color on your cards as well, so you can use these for coloring on your images. But you're just going to kind of lay them on their side. You don't want to do your brush tip down. You want to lay them on their side. And let's just get a few of the colors on here. And don't worry about it drying. I'll show you a trick for that if you hang on for 1 second. And do kind of summer sherbety parfait colors. And so now I've colored the stamp. And then you're going to do, just breathe on it just a little bit. You have moisture in your breath, and that moisture will re-wet it a little bit. And now you can just go ahead and press it to your card. And now you can see that I've got 3 colors going across it just like that. So congrats with the different colors. So our markers, again, can be colored directly onto the stamps, and then you can also use them to color in your line images like you see on this one. So moving on, we do have some more options for working with color. And this is our new For Your Country stamp set. And let's grab the verse as well. It says Godspeed. So let's take those. We'll set that aside. Another pad that we have to work with is our Versamark pad. This is a clear ink. It's got some moisture and some tackiness to it, so it's great for embossing. Embossing is a process where you use powder and heat to give you a nice raised look that does not brush off of your card. But it also can be used to give you a tone-on-tone or a watermark effect. So let's just take the boots. This is one of my favorite new stamps. And we're just going to press it. And hopefully you can see that. But you can see where we just now have an image that's kind of a watermark tone-on-tone of the boots that are right there. Then another option that we have 2 metallic pads. They're called Encore Pads, and we do now have the refills for them. And again, these are tacky and you can emboss with them, so I could put silver powder over this and gold powder over this for a really wow look. But you can also just stamp with them directly. They will have a little bit of a drying time since, and let's just put, I can cut this apart. But you're going to get your metallic look here. And I really had wanted the other one to be a gold, but it's okay. We've got a cleanup pad handy. Now let's do our gold. And so, again, I might have chosen the wrong color cardstock. Sometimes the effect of your ink will depend on the base color of your cardstock as well. So like our Godspeed probably would have showed up better on black or even our white cardstock, but hopefully you can see a little bit of the shimmer there as I turn it. And again, you're going to want to let that dry just a little bit, or you can speed up the process by just blowing a little bit of heat from the heat tool over it. So those are Encore Pads, and they give you a nice metallic look. We'll set that aside. Another option that we have is we have a white craft pad and a white Stays-On pad. The Stays-On is a nice permanent ink. When it comes in a box like this, and it comes without ink on it, so you're going to need to add ink with it. This is great for creating your own treat bags. And this is our little spreader. And you'll just squeeze the ink on it, and then you're going to use this almost like you were frosting a cake to push the ink down inside of it. But where the Stays-On is really going to shine is on our cello bags and creating your own little treat bags. It is a permanent ink, so it's going to be great for those kinds of decorative craftings. The white craft pad is the craft pad that I used on this project here. You can see the white dots, and so it shows up really nicely on our neutral colors. But again, because it's craft, it's also tacky like the Encore and the Versamark, and can be used for embossing. So that's that color. Then in addition to our Stampin' Write markers, we have some additional markers to play with. Let me put that in my bucket so I don't mess with it. We have the Uniball marker. I don't use this very often, and it's one that, I'll be honest, sometimes I run into trouble with because it has a tendency to clog. But it is basically just a white gel writer. Okay, so it is just a nice white gel writer. What we do have is our new chalk marker. This is not chalk that can be wiped off of a chalkboard, but it has the look of chalk. And so, again, if you're trying to get that look of chalk, you can kind of see where it has that kind of chalky look to it. But it's not one that you would want to use on a chalkboard and have come off. So we do have our chalk marker. I'm loving this. I'm using this a lot on the center of flowers now. I'm using it for little marks and dots on darker paper and things like that. So this one is more of my go-to one than the white gel pen is. And then we have 2 metallic Stampin' Dazzle markers. We have a silver one, and we have a gold one. So 2 different metallic markers. These are great for leaving messages inside of darker cards if you don't want to layer them with a white insert. They're also great for adding, again, little dots, little fake stitch marks and things like that on your darker pattern papers and things like that. So we've got our gold dazzle and our silver dazzle. So again, just as a quick review, this is not all of the coloring agents, but it's some of our basic agents. We do have our white craft pad stays on, or not white craft, our white stays on pad, which is great for creating your own little cute treat bags and stamping on cellophane. We have our white craft pad, which you can stamp without embossing or add embossing powder to. We have our metallic markers. We have our white gel marker and our chalk marker. We have our Versamark pad, which will leave clear watermark looking impressions, or will also work with our embossing powder. We have our gold and our silver Encore pads that come with re-inkers. Don't forget, you always want to add re-inkers to your order when you're ordering ink pads so that you have them when you need them. We have our new black memento pad that will be debuting midsummer. And oh my gosh, that brings me to the absolute wonderful new other way we have of coloring right now. We have our blendabilities. And blendabilities are not available to the public. The way that you will get these right now is by joining Stampin' Up, and you can do that for just $50. These are available to demonstrators only right now. We are learning how to use them and helping Stampin' Up work the kinks out of them. And they will go live to the public here sometime this summer. Stampin' Up's blendabilities are sold in sets of 3. They don't have any extensive numbering system. Basically, you buy the set of 3. It's dark, medium, and light in the system, and they do coordinate with Stampin' Up's color families. So when you work with our blendabilities, you know that you're going to get the assurance of the ability to blend with them, which is where their name blendability came with. You're also going to be able to work right with our Whisper white cardstock. No special cardstock is needed. And you're going to be able to coordinate across our color, ribbon, and embellishment families and things like that with ours. And the blendabilities is how I colored the peacock here, working with our different blues and then working with the rich raspberry grouping. So that was how I colored that peacock right there. So again, blendability is debuting later this summer, and if you absolutely can't wait, you can join Stampin' Up and order these, or actually put them even in your $50 starter kit. You can put some of them there for you. So our memento pad, and then our basic classic pads that we have, our Stampin' Right markers that we have. I showed you our aqua painter and our blender pens. So lots and lots of option, guys, for making your images look totally different depending on how you use them, bringing your images to life. So have fun coloring with all of the different coloring agents in our catalog, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless you.